in. You know, a long time ago, I used to sell flowers here.
Oh yeah?
So, Cloud, you were a soldier first class, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Really? What's weird about it?
Nothing. Just that you were the same rank.
Huh? As who?
The first guy I ever loved.
What's his name? I probably know him.
Are you okay? Wow. Your eyes.
Oh. It's 'cause of the Mako. All soldiers have them.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm bumming you out. We should go. Gotta look forward, not back.
Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII. Zack Fair. Heroic, charming, clever, humorous, and cunning. These are the many adjectives I'd use to describe Zack upon my first playthrough of Crisis Core. But first, I must address how I became familiar with Square Enix and their heartfelt stories in their games. So, it all started when my mom noticed I had very little interest in the PSP she had just bought for me, as due to my lack of games. She knew for a fact that I admired animation and cartoons, so on a trip to the nearest Walmart, she noticed a game she figured I might enjoy. It just had some guy with a big sword on it, and she was like, you know what? I think you'll like it. And back then, looking at games and the back cover was probably the biggest excitement I ever had. So my excitement was over the roof when I was looking at the back cover. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know anything about Final Fantasy or the original. So I just assumed it was going to be pretty much fun. Little did I know, though, that this game would make me feel joy, fear, death, and the idea of a hero into my perspective of when I got it in 2007. Chapter 1. Our story begins with Zack's mission along with Angeal, his mentor. Zack's informed of the importance of the mission, in which he charismatically ignores. The importance of this opening to me is it highlights one of the reasons why Zack is my favorite character to date in Final Fantasy VII. He's playful, determined, and is hard to dislike. He's just such a Chad. The gameplay has aged, but at the time it really did feel like I popped in a movie into my PSP. So when the game in and of itself had actual gameplay, I was kind of like confused, but the references of the original went completely over my head, as due to this being my first entry into Final Fantasy VII, which is really cool because I felt like I got the story in order. So kind of like with Star Wars, kind of watched the prequels and then went to the original. So I kind of went in with some sort of a knowledge of what was going on. So that's kind of the same area I was in when I was starting it. As we're going through enemies in a boss fight that I totally beat on my first time, we get stopped by this silvered hair woman whose curves are downright planetary.
Hey, I didn't know the Knights had hot cat girls too.
Actually, I'm a boy.
No, you're fucking not.
No, really, I'm
I
a...
said, no, you're fucking not.
This was the first time that Zack felt helpless, and my fear for anything to happen to him began.
You're not the only hero.
It's over. Impossible.
Before the unknown hero delivers the killing blow, Angeal prevents the attack as well as the world with his flip phone. It was all simulated training. Angeal shows his character here with Zack and to the player to be similar to Zack but different in some areas. He leaves Zack with a quote that still stayed with me till now.
Zack. Embrace your dreams.
Huh?
If you want to be a hero, you need to have dreams. And honor.
Chapter 2. As we progress, Zack gets called into Director Lazard's office with Angeal present, advising him of an assignment. Zack also gets a promotion out of this to first class with Angeal's approval. In the world of Final Fantasy VII, war is a topic that's kinda tiptoed in the game. It kinda gets mentioned here and there, but then it gets sidetracked. The mission is regarding of a former first-class soldier, Genesis, who went MIA on his last mission in Wutai. Zack and Angeal are sent to find clues to his disappearance on Wutai soil. This was a really good starter for Angeal and Zack's first mission, to where we could kind of see the synergy of the two.
By the way, what is your dream? To become first? Is it?
No. To become a hero.
Ah, good. Unattainable dreams are the best kind.
Thanks.
It's revealed in these cutscenes the mission is more than one is led to believe, and why Angeal has a personal interest in it.
So, Angeal, what's the deal with dumb apples?
The official name is Binaural White. The trees bear fruit at random times during the year. Because of that, the townspeople affectionately call them dumb apples. The local farms had plenty of them to spare.
Oh, really? So you stole them?
We were poor, Zack.
Nice excuse.
But even then, I had my honor. The largest binaural white tree grew on a wealthy man's estate. It was rumored that those apples tasted the best. But I never stole from that tree because the wealthy man's son was my friend.
If he was a friend, you should have just asked for some.
Honor can be quite a burden at times.
And what exactly does this have to do with me?
No story is not worth hearing.
What? That's it? Yeah, well, thanks a lot.
Have I not mentioned how beautiful the soundtrack is in this game, as well as the cutscenes? Also, for the PSP to run this is amazing. That the PSP doesn't get enough credit as much as it should, but by God, these cutscenes are unbelievable, especially to this date. I absolutely loved the nod of passing the torch that would be mentioned way later with the Buster Sword. Take a look for yourself.
That's what I do best. Come on, B-Unit. You know, I've never actually seen you use that. Don't you think it's sort of a waste?
Use brings about wear, tear, and rust. And that's a real waste.
You're serious, aren't you?
Yeah, I can be pretty cheap.
Yeah, no kidding.
Begin mission.
As they depart, Zack comes across this strange girl that confused me on my first playthrough. I felt like this should have been something that was a little more explained to me. I just assumed it was just some random bystander, but for some reason it seemed like it was a lot more than just that.
不愉快消えて
なんだこの生意気な迷子
Later, we come across a boss fight that Zack easily outclasses.
Overconfidence will destroy you.
The monster stuns Zack, leaving him wide open for an attack when suddenly...
That's one more you owe me. You lost your focus.
Yeah. Oh, sorry if your sword got any wear, tear, or rust on it.
You're a little more important than my sword. But just a little. Huh.
Thanks.
As Zack and Angeal are making their way to regroup with Sephiroth, they get ambushed by a gang of strange masked men. Zack is told to leave along with Director Lazard by Angeal so he could fight the oncoming onslaught of enemies alone. As the director is in a safe distance with a group of Shinra infantrymen, Zack makes his way to attempt to assist his mentor. When Zack makes the location of where they departed with Angeal, he notices the masked men that they are fighting aren't the enemy they've been fighting this entire time. But without a second thought, a summon suddenly emerges.
A summon! Who called it out?
After a quick boss fight with a literal demon, the glory of the battle gets stolen with the silvered hair hero making the final blow. Back then, I kind of saw this as a robbery since I got his health so low to be robbed. After the boss is slain, Zack and Sephiroth come to the realization that the masked men they've been fighting's identity is the soldier first class Genesis they've been searching for, or rather, the many clones of him. Sephiroth believes that Angeal has betrayed Shinra & Co. with Zack's persistence that he would never do such a thing.
Angeal wouldn't betray us! Never!
A month has passed since the Wutai incident, and Zack still believes that his mentor would never conspire with the deserter Genesis. Director Lazard dispatches Zack to a new assignment to the location of Genesis's hometown. He, along with Sung of the Turks. Sung surprised me on his introduction, as his appearance made me think of a firm, confident, and by-the-books individual compared to Zack, but surprisingly, he has some humor under the surface that I found quite charming.
I wonder. Originally, Sephiroth was assigned to this mission. That means it's a top priority matter. Be alert, or you'll fail.
And Sephiroth?
Refusing to go, apparently.
Oh, what is that? They spoil him too much.
Why don't you say that to his face?
No thanks.
As they land to the location, Zack comes to realize that the town's trees and fruits they bear seem familiar. Zack and most importantly the player are told from Sung that Angeal and Genesis are childhood friends. As they make their way into the town, they see it's been overrun by many Genesis copies and Shinra machines. As Zack is led to search for Angeal's house, he meets Angeal's mother, who mentions to Zack that Genesis came attacking the townspeople, taking many lives. She also informs Zack that Angeal was home earlier but not speak much on what was going on. Zack warns her to leave the area for his safety, but she persists Genesis nor her son would harm her. After Zack leaves the house, he gets a call from Sung of an old factory outside the town ridden with Genesis copies. As they regroup, Sung informs Zack on his findings of Genesis' parents, stating that they were murdered and buried outside their home. Zack states to Sung that maybe he could convince his lost mentor with his closest friend as well. Sung smiles at the warm, tender heart of Zack and believes Sephiroth chose well on the mission, as it's revealed that Angeal and Genesis were his closest friends. As our heroes infiltrate the factory, they encounter Genesis, the first-class soldier, who speaks and paraphrases that I can promise you doesn't get old. And it may just be me, who has recently been replaying Devil May Cry, but Genesis looks exactly like a character from that series. Sung confronts Genesis that his people were in the burial along with the many murdered from the town, to which Genesis quickly blasts him with ease, but before Zack can confront Genesis, someone quickly stops the confrontation altogether in a flash. As Zack rushes to see his mentor, Sung, who surprisingly is okay, informs Zack that the entire town will be bombarded, leaving nothing behind. Zack remembers Angeal's mother was still in the town as he sprints to her home. When he reaches the front door, he is shocked to see Angeal's mother dead mere feet from him. He turns to see Angeal behind him. To Zack's belief, Angeal is the one who had murdered her, and shoves him aside and gives him a good old Chris Breezy combo. As Angeal makes his way to leave the town, Genesis is there mocking Zack with his poetry, along with summoning another monster for his troubles. After we battle the summon, we are left with this scene from Genesis. I'll let it play it out.
Summons aren't meant to be used like this. What happened to dreams and honor?
We are monsters.
We have neither dreams nor honor.
Soldier doesn't mean monster. Angeal.
Chapter 4. Much time has passed and Zack collects his thoughts on how the war is over and is wondering where possibly Angeal could be. Within seconds, Zack gets a call from Sephiroth to meet with the director. As Zack makes his way, he is rewarded with the official title of Soldier First Class, which he doesn't feel like it was really a reward to him. After we get a drip change, Director Lazard informs Zack and Sephiroth that the board has officially green-lighted the termination of Genesis and along his men, this including Angeal, marking him a deserter. Zack is very upset with the decision, but before emotions can be felt, an intruder emerges. Sephiroth is sent to protect the president, and Zack is sent to the entrance of the building. Zack makes his way to see Shinra soldiers fighting Shinra equipment. It is later revealed that Genesis copies have invaded the headquarters. Sephiroth meets with Zack to advise him Hollander must be in league with Genesis, as his disappearance along with many missing Shinra equipment was around the same time Genesis' desertion. Zack and Sephiroth fight their way and are sent to Sector 8 where more Genesis copies have been sighted. As they split up for more ground, Zack is greeted to Turks who are on the field fighting the copies. Reno, Rude, Cisne are all undersung. After many copies, Zack gets a call from Sephiroth that Angeal had been sighted in Midgar. Before the army can make it to his location, him and Zack attempt to beat the army there. Zack gets to Reactor 5 when suddenly a monster leaps above him. Zack finishes the monster with ease when it is revealed to have Angeal's face. After this realization, Sephiroth thinks back on times when Angeal and Genesis were back in Soldier. The cutscenes of this game cannot get enough praise. Again, I probably sound like a broken record, but if you could name a game that was on this level at the specific time it had came out, I'll rethink this, but for now I absolutely love this. Take a look. During investigation of the sector, the pair found a lab what seems to be a testing site for the copies. After the battle between Sephiroth and Genesis, it left Genesis in very bad shape, and the person to treat him was revealed to be Hollander. Sephiroth found it very odd how he couldn't be the one to donate for the treatment, as he felt very guilty into hurting his friend. As our memory closes, Hollander is seen entering the laboratory. To his surprisement, Genesis gracefully descends to prevent our heroes from taking Hollander. Zack is sent to get after Hollander, and Sephiroth is left to deal with Genesis. Zack chases Hollander, who is surprisingly fast given his figure compared to Zack's. Like, Zack is built. How is this man outrunning him? As it seems Hollander is put into a corner, Angeal arrives, showing Zack the monster he has become. After Angeal constantly pushes Zack to battle, he won't give in until suddenly Angeal uses a majority of his strength, sending Zack to the bottom level of Midgar. He then gets awoken to a familiar face to many.
Mom? I want to help out a friend, but I don't know how I can do it.
Hello?
Mom?
Hello? Hooray!
Heaven?
Not quite. Church in the slums.
An angel?
No, I'm Aerith. You fell from the sky.
Huh?
Scared me.
So you saved me, huh?
Not really. Hello? That's all I did.
Thank you so much, Aerith. I'm Zack. I have to repay you somehow.
Don't worry about it.
No. Uh-huh. Hey, how about one date?
What is that? Don't be silly.
But...
Stop! Don't step on the flowers.
Excuse me?
Normally, people are more careful with flowers.
Well, I guess I'm not normal. Oh. You don't see a lot of flowers in Midgar. They're like luxury items around here.
They only grow here. Although, I planted some outside my house too.
If I were you, I'd sell them. Midgar's full of flowers, your wallet's full of money.
Midgar full of flowers. Wallet full of money? Never thought of it that way.
Insert Aerith Grainsborough. Oblivious, caring, optimistic, and stubborn. I think I could speak to many, as Zack and Aerith's relationship is one that can never be forgotten in Final Fantasy VII.
Alright, I'll go buy it. I'll be right back. How's that?
Did you put it on right? Will it stay on?
It should be fine. Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you, Zack. I'll always wear it from now on.
Although their time is relatively shorter than most, you could very easily be able to tell the beauty of their love for one another. In the game, we're separated from the main plot and treated to a more calming world with Aerith as we spend our time with her and the civilians who live below in the slums. It was very calming for me to lay back from the main plot as it was picking up relatively fast. When the couple's date seems to be going well, Zack gets a call from Sephiroth that Genesis attacked the Shinra building and to regroup immediately. As Zack makes his way to the location, he is stopped by his mentor, who Zack is not quite keen to meeting again due to their encounter from before. Angeal begins to question his loyalty, but knows for sure that with Zack by his side, they'll triumph the enemy that creates suffering. As our heroes fly to the location of the Shinra building with Sephiroth, they come to suspect that the target of this raid is Hojo, the director of the science department. If you want me to describe Hojo as a person and a view of seen Fullmetal Alchemist, he's basically Show Tucker but worse. Zack is left with the job to go after Hojo and Angeal's to defend the outside of the building. Zack meets Hojo when suddenly Genesis arrives. Hojo taunting Genesis' motives, believing Hollander can prevent Genesis degrading. Angeal suddenly arrives attempting to stop Genesis further. Genesis destroys Hojo's lab and retreats. Zack and Angeal give pursuit. Genesis summons yet again, and Angeal leaves our hero Zack to fend off when he battles his friend. Before we cut to the fight, to show you this tiny bit of dialogue that Zack has with Aerith. Take a look.
Zack, I leave this to you.
Huh?
You can do this. Trust me.
Don't leave me here! Stop! Come back! Aerith? Listen, can I call you back later? I have some company. Don't keep your guest waiting, she says.
With the summon defeated, Zack is left alone on the battlefield with no one in sight. Shortly after, Zack has been desperately trying to get in contact with Sephiroth when it's revealed by other soldier members that he's held up in the data room looking for records of the science department. Zack receives a call from Aerith asking when he was going to make the flower wagon as promised. Zack proceeds to her location but is stopped by Angeal, who informs him that Genesis and Hollander are in Modeoheim working discreetly. When Zack reaches the front door of the church, he's stopped by Sung to report to mission for Modeoheim. As our hero takes flight to the location, the chopper crashed down, leaving only a handful of men to carry out the mission. Zack is met with another soldier who is somehow able to keep up in the country terrain. Insert Cloud Strife. Zack and Cloud easily become bros on the spot. To describe Cloud on his first encounter of mine playing this game, he's very shy, curious, and has a very low self-esteem, which is very different from when I've known him in the most recent games and other movies of thereafter. Cloud and Zack could not be any more different, and I feel their friendship surrounds this dynamic. Sung informs them that they're all only here to investigate and not risking the lives of others for close combat. While the crew infiltrates the compound, Zack runs into Genesis, threatening Hollander, while is requesting the Genova cells for his decaying body. Cloud attempts to apprehend Hollander with little to no success. Hollander confesses to Genesis he has no idea where the cells are kept, which Genesis follows suit to see he is worthless to him. Cloud races for Hollander. Zack is left to deal with Genesis. After the defeat of Genesis, Zack sees Cloud and Sung outside the door where Hollander is held up. Sung directs Zack to head in and is where he is met with his mentor. Angeal, who knows about Genesis' defeat, feels it was his job to deal with them, then suddenly states the reason for Zack to fight him was to prepare for the fight with Angeal. Zack, who wishes not to battle with his mentor, avoids his attack when Angeal makes an implied threat that he knows that someone is there waiting out for him. Forcing him to battle, Hollander makes the scene fulfilled of his creation that Angeal's the perfect monster. It is revealed that Angeal's mother took her own life as she was the experiment of the science department implanted with Genova cells. Genesis was implanted with the cells of Angeal's mother, which turned out to be a failure. But since Angeal was the son of her, his transformation was successful. Angeal breaks the truth to Zack that it is all very true and he is the very enemy that he is sought out to destroy. As Angeal summons all the copies nearby, he absorbs them all to create a mutation of monsters into one. Hollander attempts to steal a sample of Angeal before the mutation takes place, but fails to do so. Zack then sees the final form of Angeal and ensues battle with his mentor, his friend. Angeal passes on his family's blade in honor of the dreams to his young protege, knowing the world will be safe in his hands. Angeal's death to me felt like the end of the story, but to be completely honest, we're only halfway through the game. What is more to go through now that the main villain's gone? Until then, I'll meet you back up with the second part of my video for the summary of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII.
Embrace your dreams. If you want to be a hero, you need to have dreams and honor.
Hey, Zach? The sky is closer in the city above, right? Kinda scary. But the flowers might like it. Maybe.
So you want to be in Soldier? Hang in there. So, is everybody here now?
Sir!
You're all rookies, right?
Sir! Yes, sir!
One piece of advice. No. An order. Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your soldier honor. Got it?
Sir!
We're all coming back here alive. You hear me? Let's go. Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your honor. As Soldier! Come and get it!